Well, hello everybody to another. This is our second session of our Enlightened Conversations. My name's Louisa Tanner Munson, and I'm coming here to share with you today with my good friend Tania, whose author name is T.C. Ayala. So you may know her by two different names, but I'm going to be referring to her loveliness as Tania tonight. So as we commence this second session with you all, I would like to welcome you to join us in the chat room. Our theme for today is the graceful art of allowing. I can see we've already got 3 people watching us.
Oh, yay!
And Tania's literally just sharing it on social media right now.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So
we are literally just getting our act together. So anyway, I've got the chat box open. So if you want to send us a message, you can do. And I'd like to know some of your thoughts about allowing. Like, how have you allowed situations in your life? What's worked for you? What hasn't? How do you know when you need to allow? And this is a big one for me. What is it like to be graceful? I often find I kind of stumble into situations and I kind of like put my big foot into things. I don't think gracefulness is something that's used to describe me very often. What's your thinking about gracefulness, Tania?
Actually, I totally, I'm on that page with you, that it's something that's not easy to allow the grace, the ease and grace, because we have become so accustomed, we have learned this so well, that in order to be here on earth, we need to struggle. And then we've also learned that we have to carry all of these protective layers, and that is quite heavy. So then with all of that, it becomes hard to be graceful. But then when we remove them, it still takes a while for us to be accustomed to the idea, oh, wait a minute, I don't have the armors on anymore, I can just glide. But because we were into that habit so much of struggling and of carrying around such a heavy package, when it's removed, it still takes time for us to, oh yes, right, I don't need to struggle anymore.
Yeah, you're not wrong, are you? Because I know my first instinct with any situation is to make it more complicated instantly, and actually I was asked a really good question earlier by one of our friends, and she said, how did I learn to ground myself on planet Earth? And I don't think I really have done it very well, but I did recognize that when I gave birth to the children, a certain amount of grounding happened. And as I reflected on that, I actually think it might have been that I was just too busy to be able to complicate my life any further.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah.
You know,
that you stop thinking about it, and then it kind of happens.
Yeah, the way our souls weave these things together for us, like with your children, you have this this beautiful partnership, and it's just bringing you that possibility of coming into a completely different space of grace, really, because even pregnancy is coined as a state of grace.
Yeah, I can see why some women get addicted to the feeling of it. In fact, it is quite a magnificent, once you've got rid of the sort of funny sensations that your body's going through, it can be a beautiful moment.
Once you get into the allowing, then you know the grace.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, we've got 8 people watching us at the moment, and I'm wondering where they're watching us from. So if you can let us know, and also let us know how you've experienced the art of allowing, or how you've experienced grace today, that would be fantastic. Where's the grace been in your life today, Tania?
The grace is in my life every single day, in the fact that I don't have sort of a fixed schedule that is commanding me. So from the moment I get up to the moment I go to bed, really I'm flowing in grace. Actually, so much so, my life is lived so much in the moment that sometimes I have some very weird and peculiar experiences. Like, for instance, if I forget to write something down on my schedule, it very easily slips my mind, and then it comes here in the moment. I should already, I should be in that place or something. So I've adapted to this state. So it's a different kind of way of living, but I've adapted to it by keeping my schedule and writing down everything I must remember. And then I just look at it. I don't memorize it. I look at it at the beginning of the day to just touch base with what's going on that day that I really need to remember. And the rest of the day is really very, very organic. It's very graceful. So it's a state, like Joanna is saying, it's a state, not necessarily a practice, because then you become that.
Yeah.
It's the state of allowing, really.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Joanna. I can also see we've got Gregor here.
Hi, Gregor.
And he's coming from Slovenia. Hi, Gregor. Yeah, I can understand what you mean about, when you're in the moment of grace and when you're really in the flow of life, really allowing it. And then all of a sudden you come slap bang up against the real world, or like the Western world, or your responsibilities. Because I was actually in a real daydream when we met tonight. We met for a few minutes earlier, didn't we? Just to make sure we were ready for the show. And literally about 3 minutes before, I realized I wasn't set up to stream it. I didn't have the banner ready. I didn't even have our opening credits ready. I was in a daydream. So how is it possible to be in a state of grace? Sure, you can write lists, but how can we?
I don't write lists.
No.
I just write on my schedule what is scheduled for specific times. Right. I never write lists like in a sense that I have to do whatever, but like in that particular day, then if at the beginning of the day I know there's several activities that do not have a timetable, then I will write a list of those activities that are absolutely essential to be completed in that day. But it's not a list that is gonna sort of lag on. So it depends. Like, if you're going to write the list to help you, it's fantastic. If you're going to write the list to be your ruler, then it's not a flow and it's not a grace. So the list is to be your support system so that you don't have to think about it. So then when you are doing a certain activity, you are fully in surrender and in flow with that one activity. And you know that whatever you need to remember is in the list that you made earlier. And so you're going to do that right after you finish this. So basically, your mind doesn't get in the way with, oh, I can't forget that. Oh, I can't forget the other, and so on, because you're in full surrender to whatever you're doing now. It really helps to have a schedule, especially so that you don't have to think about it. It's just, it's written down. You don't have to give it a second thought.
Beautiful. It's good to see that I did manage to stream to YouTube and Facebook. We've joined by someone called New Energy Intuition. Which
it's Marcia.
Having a walk in the water of the sea and feeling how much love that energy has for me. Yeah. Oh, wow. Thank you.
I love that also. That is beautiful.
Yes.
So, for instance, for me, because I live very near the lake, here this area has a lot of lake. Some days I just sort of, now I'm going for a swim in the lake, and I just go. And it doesn't matter if it's winter or spring or autumn or summer or whatever. That is not my concern. If I feel this, I just want to go in there, and I do. And just lying back in the water and looking up at the sky and feeling the support that water is providing, that is so gentle and yet so firm. Wow. It's, for me, it's also part of my daily grace.
Wow, that's beautiful. We've got a hello from Vienna from Matea.
Hi, Matea.
Hi, thanks for joining us. I'm trying to think of my deep, graceful moments that happen during the day. There are many, but one of the ones that I'm really fond of at the moment is just collecting the eggs from the chickens. Just that moment where I put my muddy boots on and and go out with my little basket and the vegetables, and they meet me because they're free range chickens at the moment.
Okay.
And they come running up like little children, so that appeals to me. But I'm just walking around with my chickens following me, and then I crouch down for a stroke, and I pick up the eggs. And there's something so nice about picking up freshly laid eggs. They're so warm and heavy in your hand.
I always thank my chickens whenever I go and get the eggs, because it's like, oh, thank you for your gifts that you've offered today. Another thing I'm enjoying is watching the vegetable garden seeds sprouting. I love to plant seeds instead of saplings, instead of the other already more grown things, because it's just, okay, what's gonna grow and what isn't, and what does it look like when it comes out of the ground, and then it changes and morphs into something different.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did we come up with the Graceful Art of Allowing as a title? What was it that we were really feeling for at this moment?
We were feeling for what you were defining as the energies, the astrological energies for the month of April. So that's where the suggestion came from.
I should have written it down. Yes, it's because we're going into Taurus territory. The sun changing into Taurus, and
that's where you were coming from. And interestingly enough, I actually wrote a text for my newsletter with that title. Mm-hmm. So that's why the title came to me so easily, because I already had it. Perfect. So we were already in that flow of the graceful art of allowing.
Well, that does fit in with the Taurian energy, because like Taurus, I always think of Taurus, they're related to Taurus the bull. Obviously, most people know it's the bull, but I always think of Taurus as being an oak tree. So when you're talking about these tiny little seedlings, this is these mighty oak trees just come out of these tiny acorns. And you would never think that something so small could grow into something so magnificent. And all that happens is this allowing and this passage of time. But Taurus is a very, very patient star sign. The energy of it is patient. It's very natural. The way it expresses itself is, what would nature do? How would nature do it? And it really holds people in the space. It's like being drenched in the Schumann resonance, like, I don't know if young people have the same experience that you and I would have had, where we could lay back on a beach or on the grass and we could actually feel the energy of Mother Earth. The Schumann resonance was really, you could really feel it when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Didn't have lots of competing vibrations around, like sort of Wi-Fi and
if people live in the city, especially.
Yeah. And so the Taurus energy is very much about the connection to Mother Earth.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is, if we are able to be in tune with it and realize even the time that a tree takes to become its full growth, its full extent, its full bounty, it seems so slow, yet it's happening inch by inch. This is what for me translates living one breath at a time. It's even though when there seems that there's nothing happening, then that's when something absolutely relevant is happening. Because it's in the spaces in between that we actually create the safe environment for whatever is going to happen. Because there is much more space, vacant space, where then all of the vibrations, etc., interact. We are basically free space. We are not solid. We seem solid, but we are not. So it's just like that space of nature. It takes its time, and it seems like nothing is happening. Though when you revisit it over and over again, you notice, oh, wait, there's a new branch, there's a new leaf, there's a new something. And even if we were to observe the trunk, the tree trunk, we would probably notice differences. And it's the breath of Mother Earth showing us constantly what it's like to allow this grace. It's never in a rush. Never in a rush. That's why possibly modern society has moved so far off from their intrinsic nature, because we are not observing what nature is showing and teaching us every single day. There is no rush whatsoever. It's all a smooth flow of allowing, a graceful art of allowing. And so we don't really need any other teachers. We've got it around us all the time. Just allow it to show you, to hold you, because basically we are that space where either we are out of sync and therefore energies rush and are not coherent and then make people ill and stressed and all of these things, or we are in sync. So because basically we are Earth beating. We are in the Schumann resonance all the time. Either we are in sync with it or we aren't, but we are immersed in it.
Yeah.
So if we are beating in sync with that, we are Earth itself, completely and totally. And we have all of the elements and even the proportions. It's amazing that even the proportions of the elements are similar to those in the planet itself. If only one could allow more of this frequency, of this tuning in to happen, there's really not much to do. You know, it's so simple. It's just a case of allowing it to be like that. I was speaking to a friend today, and we were speaking around the theme of money. That some people open certain businesses because they give them money, but then they don't have a life. And I was actually sharing that for me, it's been the opposite. The more I allow myself the time and the space to be fully coherent with myself, with my choices, with my peace, really, with what is coming from here, the more money comes my way. Because it's just another form that energy has of serving my life.
Yeah.
Just in the same way as everything else comes. And it really, literally, as it's been said over and over again, it comes to us. Literally, it comes to us. But it can only come if we are the space where it can rest.
Yeah.
Where it can find us. This is the art of allowing. For me.
And for me too, although I'm not so good at resting.
Well, you've got 3 small children in your hands.
I do have some experience of actually slowing down and being more productive, actually. But just before I share that, I just want to share some of the lovely messages we're getting. So we've got hello from Portugal, and we've got lots of gratitude and thanks for this moment from Isabel.
Thank you.
And that's a really joyful photo. It's really beautiful. Yeah, I love that. And then Joanna's come back and says, is that we allow ourselves to stay in the silent space that exists in each of us and observe. That for me is my state of grace on earth. That's really beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Staying in a silent space that exists in each of us and observing it. Yes. Thank you, Joanna.
Thank you.
And then we've got Jose.
Hello.
Hi, Jose. Coming from Santarém in Portugal.
Yeah, Mação is not very far from here, really, where I am.
Wow. So, yeah, I had a busy old job in London years ago now, about 12 years ago, and I was managing the training for a big charity in London while somebody was pregnant and on pregnancy leave. And it was a great job, and I had lots and lots of things to do. And I realized that my job list was getting longer and longer and longer. And there were some things, and I just chose not to do them. And I always wondered what would happen, if one day these jobs were just going to catch up with me. And a really strange thing had happened, because previously in work, I'd always done every job and stayed really late to get everything done. And about 4 months later, I went over this list, and there were lots and lots of things that I hadn't done. And the funny thing was, as I went through them, none of them had needed to be done. So the ones that I hadn't done, when things need to be done, it just happens anyway. And so I'd realized that I'd added so much extra into my life, like things I thought were nice to have, things that I thought were essential to do a good job. And so for now, I really just enjoy working for myself, and not doing everything that I think I need to do. So I write myself a list, but then go through it again and say, okay, is this essential or not? And, sometimes I decide they're not essential, and then later I realize they are. But, anything that does need to come to my attention will just manage to get there. So I don't try and put myself out about it anymore.
And especially with three small children, you surely have to had gotten into that, because it's a massive task to be a stay-at-home mom like you are, homeschooling, and still having your own business and being a wife of your wonderful husband, Carl. Hi, I'm sure you're out there.
And looking after the chickens as well. I mean, that's just
you are really an amazing example of what is possible when you allow.
Thank you.
For me, it's wow. How does she do all of this?
I don't know if it's because I'm allowing it, actually. Sometimes I do. Sometimes, when you're about to give birth, when you reach that point of no return, and you're wide open and your baby is just coming out.
It's just coming out.
And so a lot of my life, actually, I am allowing it, I guess. I'm just allowing everything to push through. And that's actually how my life feels a lot of the time. And it's not going to be like that forever.
Yeah.
I'm not fighting it. I'm not trying to stop it or manage it particularly. Just
that's the difference between really allowing, which is why I consider you are allowing, is because you're not fighting against your situation. You have chosen the life you have. So you have chosen to be a homesteader, a stay-at-home mom, a homeschooling mom, and a wife, and an entrepreneur, and a chicken rearer, and and a vegetable garden a creator. and still you're not fighting against any of it. You're just coming to each challenge as it presents itself and dealing with it moment to moment. Ruth has a question here. How do you allow with difficult aspects? Well, that's really where you are tested to allow.
Yeah. And that sounds a bit like an astrological question as well. Is that what you're meaning, Ruth? Let me just put your question on the screen. Are you talking about difficult aspects in your astrology or difficult aspects in your life? Let us know, and I'll answer if it's an astrological one.
So I do something really interesting when I feel there are difficult situations or challenges that are presenting themselves. I dive directly into them. I have found that once we do not view whatever it is that is presenting itself as an obstacle or as something to protect ourselves from, so once we open up to it, it just starts dissolving.
Right.
Because you become present to it. Generally, something is more challenging. Then, if it's more challenging, it's asking you it's asking something from you. What I've found is that invariably, what it is asking from you is for love. And no matter what the aspect or the situation or whatever it is, it could be a personality aspect, it could be a challenge in your life, whatever. Dive into it. Don't avoid it. By all means, do not avoid it. So, and once you go straight into it, now imagine you're feeling sort of a kind of an unrest in your heart. Let's imagine that. Okay.
Yep.
Go into it, totally into it. No pretending it's not there, and no trying to sort of work your way through it, and no trying to say, oh no, this is not mine, whatever. It might not be. If it's not yours, because by being sensitive, we also feel the people in our lives, especially the ones who are closer to us, if there are our children, our husband, wife, whatever. And so it's natural to feel other people's feelings. Even though that feeling is not yours, dive into it anyway. I found something amazing about that. So I used to say, okay, whatever is not mine can move through, move past, move out. But now I've started experimenting a new way. It moves out. But now I've started experimenting something new, which is, okay, I'm feeling something. I'm going to dive into it. And if it's not mine, it instantly loses, it's sort of diffused. But by allowing myself to dive into it, instead of inviting it to move past, what I have done is brought in my alchemy to that feeling. And that alchemy is provided for whatever purpose, for whoever is feeling that. It's amazing. It's absolutely magic.
Yeah. Yes, I think you may well have just answered Ruth's question, actually. So when she was saying, how do you allow for difficult aspects? She's saying, for instance, noise. She's also said I can answer it too, but she then said, wow, afterwards. So I think she's referring to your answer there about how you dive into the difficult feelings, the difficult moments.
So if there's noise, go into it. Don't avoid it. Don't pretend it's not there. Don't try and sort of color it up with overlapping positive whatever feelings or affirmations, or okay, try something new. Go into the noise, because the thing is, once you choose consciously, you are going into that from your presence, because you are making a conscious choice. Immediately your presence is there, and it will transform immediately, because we are all natural born alchemists. That's why there is such a fascination with alchemy.
Yeah.
We are that. But in order to be able to do it, we need to come into presence. So you may ask, oh, how do you come into presence if sort of there's all of this noise going on? Go into it. Choose to go into it. As soon as you choose to go into it, you are the master. So therefore, you are the alchemist.
That's wonderful. So if I was to experience, like, if to put it into like everyday mum terms, if there was a whole bunch, I mean, there's a couple of things I do if there's a lot of noise going on, but to go into the noise, what do I like? What do you like when you say go into it?
So you take a deep breath and you just surrender to it.
Okay. And so you just accept.
It's like you fall into it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's a state of complete, absolute, and total acceptance.
Where you're not fighting it. You're not trying to turn it down.
You're not rejecting it. You're not trying to transform it even. You're not even trying to transform it. But the beautiful thing is that once you fall into it, it transforms.
Okay, I will be definitely trying that one out. I realised I thought I'd transformed it or worked with it, but you've confirmed that I transform it. So sometimes when the kids are being noisy, I go and just dance with them. So I move my body to the noise and or start making noise myself with them. So I almost become the noise. But
there you are.
That's not accepting it, though, is it? That's
sort of. So why don't you just sort of first you surrender to it? Okay, there's noise.
Yeah.
And you will notice immediately there's a shift of consciousness, because you become the presence that has chosen to address that full force, straight ahead, no compromise. You are showing whatever it is that you are not afraid of being vulnerable to it. So actually what I'm saying is that this is where we discover that becoming vulnerable to whatever is the key to being safe.
Yes.
Strange as it may seem.
I'd like to share with you an astrological analogy that I was actually talking about with a client today. There's in fact, before I do it, I just want to say hello to some more friends, because we've got
hi Primoz.
We got Primoz from Slovenia. Hi, thanks for joining us. Joanna's also said yes, we are alchemists. And I think Ruth's saying me too. I'm guessing she's also an alchemist, or maybe she dances with the noise, who knows. But there's an astrological healer. It's actually an asteroid called Chiron, and Chiron is known as the wounded healer, and he's also see him in Greek and Roman mythology. And he was immortal, and he got pricked by a poisonous arrow in the back of his foot. And if it was a human, it would have killed him. But he's immortal, so he feels the pain, the agonizing pain of death continuously because he's immortal and there's nothing he can do with it. And he lives with it for a really long time, and he tries to be wise about it, and he tries to use his thinking, his clever thinking and his clever way of being to be able to cope with it. And he can't, so he can heal others and share his wisdom, but he cannot heal himself from the pain. And he only gets relief from it when he trades in his immortality with a human. And so he becomes mortal and gives his immortality to somebody else. And so what he chose to do was to become vulnerable to the poison and to feel the poison. And in the moment he became mortal, he died, but he had the relief of being able to process that pain and release it. And so he just absolutely made himself vulnerable to the thing that was his big noise, the thing that was causing so much pain.
Wow.
And I
what
think that's
a beautiful analogy.
Yeah, I love Chiron, because where he shows up in your birth chart really shows where you can make yourself vulnerable and really benefit from it.
Yeah, and the thing is, he had nothing to lose by losing his immortality, because in actual fact, he's eternal.
Yeah. Yes, that's a great distinction.
Isn't it just amazing? Like, okay, he was immortal, but he's immortal anyway. The only difference is that his physicality was not immortal at that point, but he is eternal anyway, and he's never going to stop.
That is inspired. And in fact, I'm going to use that next time I talk about Chiron in astrology. I will add that extra bit in at the end, because that is important, actually. We are immortal. We've got another comment here from Marcia saying there's a sync issue. In these last 2 weeks, one thing I feel very deep is that I'm an alchemist.
Yeah, true thing. So true. It's just allowing that, we've been used to protecting ourselves so much that becoming so vulnerable that you're even going to surrender, even going to dive into whatever is uncomfortable, it seems like something insane to do.
Yeah.
But it is the insanity of realizing that you don't have to be a sane human. You can be an outrageous being. That allows us to realize that there are really no limitations to our immense power. Because we are outrageous beings. We wouldn't be on Earth if we weren't. I mean, this is a pretty challenging planet. And we come here to feel the challenges on our skin, to be aware of those challenges, to know the consequences of these challenges, and to still keep on choosing, yes, but I know I am eternal. Of course, only at a given moment. I mean, there's so many challenges we go through and we are capable of living, and only at a certain point do we say, okay, enough. Now I choose to remember I'm eternal. Yay! Whoa! Right on, maybe. That seemed to be hurting, but it's not hurting anymore. Isn't it fantastic what we put ourselves through?
Yeah, it really is. I think we've got so much courage and heart, to want to come and experience this. I think it's magnificent.
It is.
Can I ask you about your recent 8-year celebration? Because that was when you realized
my oneness, basically. Yeah, my eternity. I mean, it's something I knew and I had been tapping into very often, obviously, while I was integrating. But the turning point there was that from then on, I was no longer integrating aspects like I was before, in terms of, it's like a sudden collapse where everything just melted into one. So in that moment, the mind surrendered. I can clearly say it's like my mind kneeled before my soul, my essence, and said, I love you. Like the mind doesn't know how to love.
Mm.
And in that moment, the mind itself experienced, wow, I'm here at your service. I love you. That's the only thing I'm here for. So basically, the human surrendered completely, fully, and totally, with no more questions, knowing that there was no separation. And the feminine and the masculine became so one that they became inseparable. And the light and the dark became so one that I cannot, try as I might, say that one thing is better than the other. I just cannot grasp that concept anymore. That's why I never send, like when people say, oh, lots of love and light to you. For me, it doesn't make sense.
I'll stop doing that.
It's something like, I mean, you are so much more. You're all of it. Why would you just want to be one side?
Oh, I get you. So, yeah. So why would I just want to be love and light when I could also be destruction and danger?
You are all of those things in one.
Yes. Oh, I completely see from your perspective now.
So from that moment, nothing, like I could not see. This happened in a moment where I faced a terror just came over me. And at that moment, I looked at that terror, and finally I said, okay, I did what I'm sharing. I'm here and I'm not afraid. And in that moment, boom, this whole collapse happened. So it's I now know it's what people describe as a Kundalini rising experience, because I burst from down up, and my head just burst into complete silence, so absolute, pure, and complete that I had trouble thinking. In the first weeks, it was hard to start thinking again, because I had to invert the process. So I had to then start responding to what my feeling, my innermost essence was bringing forth for my understanding. So for weeks, I didn't have a previous notion of what to think. You see, like it was a really strange thing, but blissful, because from then on, my mind is a peaceful, silent space. There's no noise. There is no noise. So one of the big turning points was, from then on, there's no more noise, and in my heart, there is no anguish and no emptiness and no darkness, in that sense that, feeling something dark here and then. And many times I smile. I find myself going for a walk and I smile and say, wow, isn't it wonderful to not have any part of me hiding anywhere? Like,
wow,
there's no part, and say, wow, there's nothing hiding. Isn't that amazing? It's just a wonderful feeling. Now, that doesn't mean that I am not challenged and that I do not have challenges in my life. Of course I do. I'm human. I live in the midst of people, and life is naturally challenging, but it's not the same kind of challenge when you can look at things from that centered, peaceful, silent perspective, because I'm not sort of making up all these things that then sort of shape what's coming. So and also it can be called a near-death experience, because at that moment I experienced myself in the body and everywhere else as well.
Yeah.
So it was a massive recognition of, wow, I'm the whole universe. I am the whole universe. Such a feeling of love for every single being, everything, for every particle. It was just amazing. And it went on for hours until eventually I could breathe deeply and stand up. And then when I stood up, I felt like jello, because like my body was very wobbly. Like, am I really, like, am I here? Am I physical? There was this strange sensation because there was this silence. So, nothing going on, this absolute peace. The body just felt intangible. So it was like I was floating, and that went on for days as well, the sensation of floating. And then this feeling of, bloody hell, I have no idea who I am, but who cares? In that process of integration, bringing aspects back home, I'd gone through many times of not knowing who I am. So whenever a big part of me, of my identity, was integrated, then I went through this phase of, now I'm someone new. I don't know who that is, but it doesn't matter because it feels great.
Yeah.
But at that moment, it was a massive experience of that. It's like, who am I really? Like, who am I in terms of personality? Who is this person that's walking around here? But I knew I am the whole universe, you see. It's the thing of not having a localized need to be a certain personality. And so it took me some time. After a while, wait a minute, I'm a mother, I've got 2 kids, and it's honestly, this all happened, you see. I'm like, oh yeah, right. So am I staying here, or am I taking off and going to live in the forest or something? Because this is so good. Like, what else? I don't want anything else. This is everything I've ever dreamt of. There's nothing else I want. I just want this. And then I was reminded, we came here to be here.
Wow.
This is the choice.
Yeah.
We have chosen to go through this experience of staying in this space of peace, of staying in the balance here, with the job, with the children, with all of the normal things that any human deals with every single day. And I'm, yes, okay. Yeah, I remember that. That seems pretty challenging at that moment because, I can't think. So I'm like, I can view myself, and then, okay. And so at the time I was an English teacher. And so I went to teach that same day.
Yeah.
Later on. And I found myself not only that day, but days to come, not knowing what to say and how to explain stuff.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I would just find myself in front of the board, waiting for the pen to start writing. Yes, that's it. Okay. And then I just sort of, okay, now I know how to explain that. You see, it was and is, of course, and it's an evolutionary process because, and as I shared, and I've shared recently, we do not get to take this for granted.
Right.
In order to stay in this peace, it takes responsibility and constant surrender to that choice. Because staying in the world of everyday life is not easy when you're in that state. So it's remaining in that state, in that full awareness, and remaining also aware, but I am still human as well. And being human is a gift. It's not an obstacle.
That's interesting, because a lot of people who are on an awakening journey are often in a rush to forget their humanity and feel magnificent. And so that's very important that you shared that. I'd like to just share a few comments that are coming in. The first one I think is perfect, from Simone. She hasn't said anything.
There you are.
She sent it when you were talking about being an empty, silent space. So I thought that was perfect. Jose has come back, or Jose, sorry, is saying fantastico, lots of peace. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Marcia is saying, in this last year, I continue to feel that all is energy, and my human side feel everyone like a kind of ghost, like people are there, but in sometimes they are not. I can understand that, actually, Marcia. I can relate to that a little bit. I feel like a lot of people are in a bit of a dream state at the moment, not entirely sure what's going on. And possibly sometimes we need a bit of a shock to our system to get out of our old thinking patterns and routines. And Barbara is saying, hi, it's quite amazing to be present and awake in a human body. Now, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Barbara about to have a baby? Has she had a baby?
She is, like, in these days, this week.
Wow. Yes. So it must be really amazing to be present and awake in a human body, especially, when you've got a baby inside you as well. I mean, that's quite a beautiful thing to experience. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. Well, it's not your story, your whole experience. Well, not even your whole experience, actually, but part of your experience of your awakening journey. Because actually, that is the graceful art of allowing. In that moment, your body, your mind gracefully allowed itself
it just kneeled and said, wow, I'm at your service, like of course, figuratively.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, when you mentioned your near-death experience, I had, after I had my last son, he was about 3 months old, and I had a dream. And it was so vivid, and I actually think it really happened. It felt like it really happened. And,
in your time and space dimensions, for sure.
Yeah. I was in a dream, and I was at the bottom of an old house. And as I walked down to the basement, it was covered in a material that I'd never seen before. So it was like beautiful marble, but not marble. It was something I'd never seen, really smooth, like glass. I could see my reflection, and I saw two round pools next to each other. I now realize that those two round pools made an infinity sign. I didn't realize it in my dream, but there were two round pools with I think a woman like bathing in it. But then I was really keen to look around this room, and I wanted to turn on the light. And I found a light switch. It was not like any light switch we've ever seen before. I just kind of put my hand at a part of a wall, and all of a sudden the whole place lit up. And then all of a sudden I saw all of my ancestors all around me, just far and wide, going on so far back. And I just said, oh, everybody's here to see me. And then as I turned around, I saw this staircase, a really beautiful staircase. And it was one of those staircases that had a bend in it and the other way. And there was this really huge window. And I could see beyond the window was the cosmos. like a beautiful like universe and like spiraling galaxies and things like that. I could just see through the window, and it was really beautiful. But I just had this sensation that everyone was here to see me, and this incredible love. And then I felt this sensation in my body where it felt like every molecule or cell in my body was vibrating or shifting. And all of a sudden I felt this huge rise from my feet all the way up my body. And as it was rising up, it just felt like a continuous orgasm all over my body. I'd never felt before. And I realized that my body was moving forwards. It was coming up the stairs. And as I rose up, it was getting faster and faster and faster and faster. I just went straight through the window. The window disappeared. And then I was in the cosmos, and I was shooting up faster and faster and faster. But in that moment, I realized I was the universe. My body had completely dissolved. And I just had this thought, oh my goodness, I'm going back to the creator. I knew that I was the creator. And I also knew that all of the answers that I had wanted so desperately in this life, they were just in my reach. I was so excited, and I was ecstatic that I was going to connect with all that is knowledge. And in that moment that I knew I was going to connect with it, I said, I can't, it's not my time. And then I woke up. I was back in my body. You know, all of a sudden my children and my husband, and I just knew it wasn't my time. And I was straight back in my body, and I was shaken to my core because it felt so real. I just burst into tears, and I cried quite a bit over the next few days because I still had pregnancy hormones going through my body. But to me, that felt like, I wonder if that's what it feels like when we die. You know, when pain goes, but when we actually leave our bodies, and our bodies, you know, when
for me, when that experience of transcendence happened, it was for me literally having died, because afterwards I had no notion, as I said, who am I? But I didn't need the answer to that question anymore.
Wow.
That was the beauty of it, is, you know, okay, like, it's like all of a sudden I didn't need to be anyone in particular. Like, none of my personality aspects were there anymore, making me want to be this or that way. That was the feeling. So it's like, you know, I'm dead, I've died, but I'm still in the body.
Wow.
So I didn't go anywhere, but I did shift and change completely. Really, really, it was a shift, a definite shift. Like, we go through many like deaths in our lifetime, many moments that are shifts that are definite, and that from then on we're never going to be the same as we were before. And this is one of those moments, but it was so massive that I can say, like, was the most fundamental death ever. Because from then on, it's like a clean slate. You just get this clean slate again. And just in the same way, so that's a good analogy, just in the same way as, you know, when we come in for a new lifetime, of course, if it's the first lifetime, we can be coming from somewhere else where we already have a story. So we're coming for a reason anyway. So one way or another, when we are born, it's like we have this clean slate, but it already has impressions on it. Right? So then we can weave our way through those impressions one way or another. They will present themselves. That's what people call karma, or if there's no karma, there will be impressions anyway, because there will be experiences to be lived. And so in the same way as it is a responsibility, what we are going to do with that lottery ticket we've just won, because we've got, I don't know how many seconds, how many hours, how many days, minutes, etc. in our whole lifetime. So we've just won the most huge lottery ticket of our lives when we're born. And we have all of those resources, right? And so it's the same thing. After this fundamental shift happened, I get a clean slate. And now I'm no longer bound by ancestral karma and all of these things. Still, I am living here on earth. And so still, it is a fundamental act of constant responsibility to keep on choosing which way I want to go. So I'm no longer producing drama and so on, but that's because I keep on staying where I want to be. Because I got the clean slate and I keep on choosing what I want to do with the clean slate. Do I want to keep it clean? Or do I want to muddle it up again? That's what I say, that life continues to be challenging, but it depends where I place myself. If I'm going to place my consciousness in that space of knowingness, where I know I am the universe, where I know I am eternity, having experiences, or if I'm going to get lost in the idea that I am somehow small or incapable or less than God. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
So we do get clean slate, yes, and but it's a constant act of responsibility.
Well, there's quite a few people wanting to share here. So Barbara is saying, yes, it has been a huge privilege carrying a baby at this time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a gift. It really is.
It is. It is.
I wish you a beautiful birth. I really do, for both you and your beautiful child.
Joyful, blessed moment.
We've got a message.
Tiasha. Hi, Tiasha.
And where is she coming?
Slovenia.
Yeah.
Slovenia.
Oh, the love. I get it. I'm loving the love. Slovenia. Thank you, Chiaka. And we've got a message from Simone now saying, beautifully put, your gift is being able to put words. What is beyond.
Thank you, Simone.
In fact, I was going to say that as something similar as well, because given that you kind of had your whole mind blown apart with an experience that so few humans experience, there probably aren't really words that can do it any kind of justice.
Yeah, it's true.
So for you to be able to explain it so beautifully,
I believe that's one of the gifts that I've brought in my my bag to use when I could, and it's taken me the most of these 8 years to be able to express in a way that anyone can understand.
Wow.
It's not been easy to because some of these things are so, as you said, are so unexplainable, you know, so intangible in a sense, but so physically tangible at the same time. I feel that at the beginning and in the first 2, 3, 4 years, it was really hard for me to be able to express in a way that anyone could grasp. Because it took me time to adjust my frequency to the frequency of everyone else. But I made that conscious choice to do that because I wanted to be with people and to stay here and to be amongst, and, you know, because I'm human. That's why I came here. I came here to be this human fully. So to be a divine human. So why would I want to be anything else? There's nothing else I want more. So yeah, it just, and I noticed especially in the last 2 years, so bless COVID in that sense, I've been able to find more flow in the words. I mean, I don't think about them. They just come to me. So they're coming to me. So they've I don't know if it's the earth that's adjusted like to the frequency, and somehow we've come to a point now we are in balance, and now I can communicate and people can understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, because I do think the energies here have shifted as well.
Yeah.
And so allowing of that will create an easier environment for you to be present in.
Yeah, and to be able to communicate in a way that is understandable. I don't want to be saying things that no one understands.
It's funny.
But on the other hand, I can't say things that are not what I am living in my wisdom and in my truth.
Yes, I've met a couple of other people who've been newly awakened, you know, and had that a similar, not the same experience as you, but they've had their whole mental constructs and their physical constructs completely crushed and altered permanently. And one thing that I've noticed about them is that the way they communicate changes very quickly, and you know they find it really hard. Oh, the two that I know have found it very hard to write sentences. It's almost
to express.
Yeah.
Something I've noticed, I use a lot of magnificent, fabulous, fantastic, great. I mean, all of these words are always coming into my conscious awareness. Sort of, it's like there needs be no effort. Like people sometimes think that they have to sort of think positive and stuff like that. And I keep on inviting, you don't need to sort of force yourself into something that is not there yet. Just allow yourself to fall into it, and then your consciousness will be filled with that you were trying to somehow overlay.
I'm going to definitely be practicing that. So allowing, like being completely in allowance with noise, being completely in allowance with tripping over pieces of Lego.
Oh wow.
When I see the kids have just thrown their clothes off again, I'm just going to allow the clothes on the floor for a moment. Actually, it might really be a useful process for me to fall into the moment of it.
Yeah.
Because I suspect.
Please let us know next time what happened, like with that.
I'll have some kind of Lego related injury, but as I don't fall into it, but fall onto it. But we're such a resistant being, aren't we? Like humans, we resist.
We are so stubborn. Gosh, we are.
Thinking about it, it might actually be easier for me to fall into moments that I don't like so much.
Yeah.
And practice that. And then once I've got the feeling and the essence of it, it might be easier to fall into the moments of, you know, real joy and.
But you know, I'd like to ask you. Now I'm going to ask you, like, to share your recent decision to start making completely intuitive astrological readings. That's an act of allowing.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. It just happened. I was doing. I had it in my mind that I was going to do it. I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't know when it was going to happen. And it's a bit like ripping off a plaster. You know, when you've got, like, are you going to do it slowly or are you going to rip it off? And in my head, I was going to practice channeling on the screen so I could get used to it. Because actually, when I work with clients now, I might look at a birth chart, you know, the astrology, but within a moment, sometimes like just like that, I fall into the chart. And so I have this moment of falling into the chart and allowing the chart, and the words just come through. And I don't remember any of it. And I was talking to our friend Christiana Altrean, and she said, well, if you're not remembering it, it's because you're going into a delta state. You know, your brain waves are in a deep delta. It's not necessary to remember. And so I've been doing this with clients for such a long time. And the client that I worked with, all of a sudden I had this overwhelming feeling of peace and love, and I just burst into tears. And then I just thought, oh, it's time. And so I finished the reading, and then I just hit record, and I just recorded my first one. I just knew it was time. I was just full of reverence for the fact that I guess in that moment, I just trusted that if I put myself in the right situation, the words would come, they would flow in just the right time. And so I just did it.
That's the graceful art of allowing.
I didn't even realize I'd done that, actually. So thank you for helping me to see that.
And being a master, like, you know, once you master something, it just dances for you. That's
it's so funny, because when I realized that I'd done that, that's how I'm going to do it from now on. I'm not going to labor over the astrology. I'm just going to go straight to the message. So that's my format. And I'm not going to be, I might be a little scared leading up to it, but it's just how it is. So,
and this is what I keep on sharing, that is living without having to know. This is it. This is the graceful art of allowing, because before you know nothing, then you open the chart, you're in it, and you know everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Isn't that brilliant?
Yeah. I'm still getting used to talking about it. But thank you. We've got a couple of comments. One of these is in Portuguese, so I'm going to allow you to share that one.
Oh, so Isabel says, I've got so many privileges for the choices that I make, with breakthroughs and setbacks, but always with some sort of headlights on the way, so that I don't get lost. Thank you, Tania, for the light you are emanating. Much gratitude. Thank you, Isabel. So beautiful.
It really is.
Thank you.
And Joanna saying, oh yes, allowing, Louisa, you're a master. Oh, bless you.
You are. Wow. You know, how many astrologers can say that they dive directly into the map, and everything they need to know, they know in that moment? It is a choice of absolute trust.
Yeah, I'm really feeling that.
Yeah.
I might just cry in a second.
Great. I feel also that these times have been very sort of emotional, in the sense that I felt like crying very often in the last weeks, in the sense that things are so strong and intense.
Yeah.
I don't know, deep feelings of gratitude, deep feelings of amazement, deep feelings of, even in the challenging times, deep feelings of mastery. How am I going to deal with this situation? And feeling the depth of that challenge with me, and saying, and crying for the hugeness of being capable of looking at the situation from a different point of view. And it's just like that, tearing open all the time. It's that dive into it. And then it makes me want to cry very, very often, because, you know, some people say it becomes boring to be wise. And I so disagree. It's such an intense experience.
Oh, I wish you were closer. I want one of those hugs with you.
Yeah, we're gonna do that in very soon, because I'll go meet you guys.
We might be coming closer to you.
Yes.
Right. So three more messages, and I think actually we should
wrap it up.
Yeah, it's been beautiful. And
Lovely.
I just know that there's so much more to come. Each time we can just go just where we're
It's
allowing
fascinating to have these conversations with you, Louisa. So fascinating. You are, wow. You know, because you're such a motherly presence. You're so filled with motherhood. It's a pleasure. There you are. Now I'm gonna cry.
So am I.
But that's it. Yeah, that's how I feel it.
Oh, I don't know if I can tell you how I feel about you because I'm just going to well up. It's an absolute pleasure as well being with you.
Yeah.
Gregor was saying, thank you, Tania and Louisa, for sharing. Thank you, Gregor, for being here.
Thank you, Gregor, for being here. Yeah.
Oh, everyone that is observing and participating is making such a huge difference. So thank you so much.
Definitely a huge difference, because all of you are also holding this space with us in consciousness that allows for this flow. We're all speaking together.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, this is all of us talking, isn't it? Joanna's saying, just trust each moment in the now. Yes. And she also said that she feels this in her therapies, the allowing of it. And having been lovingly touched by you is just awesome. It's a real gift. Simone is saying, congratulations, Louisa. Magic, and now more in synchronicity with all expanded and fun. Yeah, I'm very lucky to have Tania by my side that I can talk with. I've got so much trust for you, Tania. And
me too.
Tania, Louisa. So I think on that bombshell, we should absolutely draw this to a close.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts that you'd like to share with everybody?
Oh, you know, what I would like to share is be thankful for being here. Yeah.
Oh,
it's
gosh.
such a blessing. It's such a blessing to be alive. Receive it. That's what I'd like to share.
I'm gonna have to go. Thank you all. My eyes are stinging now with mascara.
And
not
you?
Yeah.
Fortunately, I'm not wearing any. So, what are your final?
Yeah, very similar to gratitude. I'm gonna allow myself to fall into things and just be the allowance of it. I'm gonna share something actually. I was very emotional over the last 3 weeks and crying at the drop of a hat, and I actually thought I was pregnant. And you know, it wasn't something that we were planning. And when I thought about it, I actually thought, wow, if we're pregnant, that would be such a gift. And in that moment, I just absolutely allowed the thought of it in, and I felt so blessed. And it hasn't worked out that way, but I still feel blessed for having had that experience, to be able to feel the magic of life that could erupt at any moment. And that was really special.
I feel it's very present at the moment, this eruption of life birthing. And that's making us so emotional around, like, you know, like it's just so powerful. Gosh, it's amazing.
So I think I'm going to spend this next month until we speak again. I think I'm going to just drop into the sensations as I feel them and experience things. Just absolutely allow it and report back next meetup.
Do you have the date with you? Let me see. I've written it down somewhere. Me and my notes.
Well, like you, I have an interesting diary situation myself. Which month? I don't even know which week we're in.
May. It's gonna be May 19th, isn't it? You said something. Wait a minute.
Yes. I've got you on May the 19th, Wednesday, May the 19th.
Yeah.
I think we said 20 past 6, so 18:20. That's Portuguese
I
time.
think we hadn't defined the time yet.
Oh, okay. I don't know why.
Whatever. We'll check it out because you were going to look into the thing anyway.
Yeah, I have no idea that time.
And the theme is, let me see. Let me check out your your emails here. So much for this daft memory.
Yeah, mine's very much like that at the moment.
So the theme. Oh boy. I don't know where it is. Anyway,
it will emerge because the last theme was based on our last date, and we changed the date.
Here it is. Here it is. Aligning thought, word, and deed.
Ooh.
There you are. Found it.
Thank you so much. So blessings to everybody. I'm not going to say love and light. Have the destruction. Transformation too. Have it all. You can have it all in this month ahead. I love you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you all.
Wow.